Welcome to a world where every shadow hides a story and every silence carries a secret. Tonight, we step into another chilling tale that will keep you awake long after the lights go out. So sit back, turn off the lights, and let's start the video. Part 1, The Town's Secret. Narration. Westfield, New Jersey. On the surface it looks like any other quiet American suburb. Tree-lined streets, neatly trimmed lawns, and neighbours who wave politely as they pass by. But behind this picture-perfect setting, the town hides a secret that has haunted one particular family for years. In 2014, Derek and Maria Broadus thought they had found their dream home. It was a massive 6-bedroom house at 657 Boulevard, a place that seemed almost too good to be true. The house had character, history, and enough room for their 3 children to grow up in. For Derek, who had worked hard to give his family a better life, this was the ultimate achievement. They had poured their life savings into it. On their first visit, Maria was enchanted. She imagined birthday parties in the backyard, cozy family dinners in the spacious dining room, and Christmas mornings where the kids would run down the wide staircase to the living room. For her, it was the kind of home she had always dreamed of. But as anyone in Westfield could tell you, not everything is as perfect as it seems. Just days after closing on the house, Derek walked down the driveway to check the mailbox. It was stuffed with the usual junk mail, flyers, coupons, and bills. But among them was one thick, white envelope. It was addressed not to him or Maria, but to the new owners of 657 Boulevard. Curious, Derek opened it right there by the mailbox. What he read made his stomach tighten. The letter began politely, almost too politely, but soon turned chilling. 657 Boulevard has been the subject of my family for decades, and as it approaches its 110th birthday, I have been put in charge of watching and waiting for its second coming. My grandfather watched the house in the 1920s. My father watched in the 1960s. It is now my time. Do you know the history of the house? Do you know what lies within its walls? I am the watcher, and I am always watching. Derek froze. His eyes darted across the street, scanning the neighbours' windows. Who had written this? Was someone watching him at that very moment? He folded the letter quickly and walked back inside, his heart racing. Maria was unpacking boxes when Derek handed her the paper. As she read it, her face drained of colour. The letter went on to mention their plans for renovations, even commenting on the layout of the house. Somehow this stranger already knew what they intended to do inside. And then came the most disturbing part. I see you have children. I have asked the Woods family and the previous owners to bring me young blood. Once I know their names, I'll call to them. I am the watcher. Maria's hands trembled. The kids hadn't even been outside the house yet. How could anyone know about them? That night the family huddled together in fear. The house, which just days ago had felt like a dream come true, now seemed more like a cage. And somewhere out there in the darkness of Westfield, someone was watching. Part 2, The First Letter. Narration. The letter left Derek and Maria shaken. At first they wondered if it was some sort of cruel prank, maybe a jealous neighbour upset that they had bought the house. But the details inside were too specific. The watcher knew about the renovations. The watcher knew they had children. Derek called the Woods family the people who had sold them the house. Strangely, the Woods admitted they had received a few odd letters too, but they had dismissed them as harmless. They had never imagined anything like this. Derek and Maria went to the police. They handed the letter to Detective Lugo, who studied it carefully. His advice was simple. Don't tell anyone else. Don't share this with the neighbours. Someone nearby could be behind it. But that was the problem. The watcher had to be close. The tone of the letter made it clear. This wasn't a random stranger. Whoever wrote it could see them. The next day, Derek installed extra locks on the doors. He checked every window before bed. Maria closed the curtains tight, but she couldn't shake the feeling that eyes were following her. And then, another letter arrived. This one began. It has been years and years since the young blood ruled the hallways of 657 Boulevard. Have you found all of the secrets it holds? Will the young blood play in the basement? Or are they too afraid to go down there alone? If I were them, I would be afraid. It is far away from the rest of the house. If you were upstairs, you would never hear them scream. Maria dropped the letter in horror. This wasn't a prank anymore. This was a direct threat. At night, the house no longer felt like a home. Every creak of the wooden floor sounded like a footstep. Every gust of wind outside rattled the nerves of the family. Derek stayed awake with a baseball bat in his lap. The kids complained of nightmares. The watcher's words had taken hold of them. Whoever it was, they weren't just watching. They were inside the family's minds, tormenting them from the shadows. Part 3. The Watcher's Obsession. Narration. The third letter came only days later. By now Maria dreaded walking to the mailbox, but she couldn't avoid it forever. Inside was another note from the watcher. I see that you have decorated the upstairs bedrooms. Who sleeps in which room? I will know as soon as they move in. It will help me to know who is in which bedroom. Then I can plan better. All the windows and doors in 657 Boulevard allow me to watch you and track you as you move through the house. Derek's blood ran cold. He realized this wasn't just a stranger guessing. This person had been watching them closely, maybe even with binoculars. What made it worse was the line about planning. What was the watcher planning? Was it violence, kidnapping, something even worse? Maria stopped letting the children play outside. She kept them close, afraid that someone might be lurking nearby. Every time a car slowed down on the street, Derek found himself staring, trying to memorize the driver's face. The watcher's words were beginning to consume their lives. And in Westfield, the neighbours whispered. Everyone knew about the strange letters, even though Derek and Maria tried to keep quiet. But who could they trust? That night, as Derek turned out the lights, he stared at the windows. Behind one of them, hidden in the darkness, was the watcher. He was sure of it. Part 4. The Fear Grows. Narration. Weeks passed and the letters kept coming. Some were long, some were short, but all carried the same chilling tone. 6057. Boulevard is anxious for you to move in. It has been waiting for years. It is calling to you. Do you hear it? The watcher's fixation with the house seemed stronger than their fixation with the family. Derek began to wonder if the house itself was cursed. Why else would someone dedicate their life to stalking whoever lived there? Maria started hearing noises, scratches in the walls, faint whispers that couldn't be explained. The kids woke up screaming, claiming they saw someone outside their window. But when Derek rushed out into the yard with a flashlight, no one was there. The family began to live in constant fear. The police couldn't help. The neighbours claimed ignorance. And still, the letters kept coming. One night, Maria sat awake in the kitchen. The house was silent, but she felt a presence. Slowly she turned toward the darkened window. For just a moment she thought she saw movement and the faint outline of a figure watching from across the street. Her heart pounded in her chest. She pulled the curtains shut and whispered to herself, "We're not safe here." Part 2. The First Letter. Narration. The letter left Derek and Maria shaken. At first they wondered if it was some sort of cruel prank, maybe a jealous neighbour upset that they had bought the house. But the details inside were too specific. The watcher knew about the renovations. The watcher knew they had children. Derek called the Woods family the people who had sold them the house. Strangely, the Woods admitted they had received a few odd letters too, but they had dismissed them as harmless. They had never imagined anything like this. Derek and Maria went to the police. They handed the letter to Detective Lugo, who studied it carefully. His advice was simple. Don't tell anyone else. Don't share this with the neighbours. Someone nearby could be behind it. But that was the problem. The watcher had to be close. The tone of the letter made it clear. This wasn't a random stranger. Whoever wrote it could see them. The next day, Derek installed extra locks on the doors. He checked every window before bed. Maria closed the curtains tight, but she couldn't shake the feeling that eyes were following her. And then, another letter arrived. This one began. It has been years and years since the young blood ruled the hallways of 657 Boulevard. Have you found all of the secrets it holds? Will the young blood play in the basement? Or are they too afraid to go down there alone? If I were them, I would be afraid. It is far away from the rest of the house. If you were upstairs, you would never hear them scream. Maria dropped the letter in horror. This wasn't a prank anymore. This was a direct threat. At night, the house no longer felt like a home. Every creak of the wooden floor sounded like a footstep. Every gust of wind outside rattled the nerves of the family. Derek stayed awake with a baseball bat in his lap. The kids complained of nightmares. The watcher's words had taken hold of them. Whoever it was, they weren't just watching. They were inside the family's minds, tormenting them from the shadows. Part 6. The Threat. Narration. By now Derek and Maria were barely functioning. Sleep was rare, arguments constant, fear was eating them alive. And then came the most chilling letter yet. Have you discovered what's in the walls yet? Soon you will. The house is waiting. The house is hungry. It doesn't want you here. I will know when you move. I will know where you sleep. I am the watcher. The letter was more aggressive, more threatening. It wasn't just about watching anymore. It was about possession, control. Maria dropped the note on the kitchen counter and whispered, "What if he's already inside?" Derek didn't answer. He didn't want to admit it, but he had been thinking the same thing. the scratches they heard in the walls, the strange creaks, the feeling of being followed inside their own home. What if the watcher wasn't just outside? What if he had found a way in? That night, Derek searched the house from top to bottom. He opened every closet, checked the attic, even tapped the walls to listen for hollow spaces. He found nothing, but the unease only grew stronger. Maria insisted the kids sleep in their room, close to them. Every sound, the groan of the pipes, the rattle of the old windows, sent them jumping. The watcher wasn't just tormenting them, he was wearing them down, piece by piece. And soon, it felt like the house itself was against them. Part 7, The Escape. Narration. By mid-2015, the Broadus family had reached their breaking point. They couldn't live like this anymore. The dream house had become a prison, and the watcher had stolen every ounce of peace from their lives. They packed up what they could and moved into a rented house across town. But even in their new home, the fear followed them. They kept the curtains closed. Derek carried his bat everywhere. Maria jumped at shadows. Still, they tried to sell 657 Boulevard, but it wasn't easy. Rumors had spread. Potential buyers backed out as soon as they heard about the watcher. And just when a family showed interest, another letter arrived at the Broadus' rental home. "You cannot run from me. 657 Boulevard is mine. It has been mine for decades, and it will remain mine. If you dare to let others inside, I will be here, watching, waiting." It was clear the watcher wasn't targeting just Derek and Maria. He was targeting anyone who dared to claim the house. The Broadus family was trapped. They couldn't sell. They couldn't move in. They couldn't live in peace. The house had become a curse, and the watcher was determined to keep it that way. Part 8, The Mystery Remains. Narration. Years passed, but the watcher was never caught. The police investigated, neighbours were questioned, DNA samples were taken from the envelopes, but nothing led to an answer. The identity of the watcher remained a mystery. Some believed it was a neighbour with too much time and a twisted imagination. Others whispered that it was someone obsessed with the history of the house, bound to it in some dark way. There were even rumours that the house itself carried a curse, and the watcher was only its vessel. Derek and Maria never moved into their dream home. They eventually found someone willing to rent the property, but even then, the letters didn't stop. They continued to arrive, filled with the same haunting words. 657. Boulevard will always be mine. I am its guardian. I am its keeper. You are only passing through. But I will remain here, watching. The house still stands today, silent, waiting, and the story of the watcher still echoes through the streets of Westfield. So if you ever find yourself in front of that beautiful home at 657 Boulevard, look closely. You might see curtains shift. You might feel eyes following you from the shadows. And if you're unlucky enough to move in, don't be surprised when a letter arrives in your mailbox. Signed, The Watcher. And that was the story of the Watcher of Westfield, a mystery that still remains unsolved, leaving us to wonder who was truly watching. If you enjoyed this story and want to hear more real horror tales, paranormal encounters, and chilling mysteries from around the world, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and press the bell icon so you never miss a night of fear. This is only the beginning, and the darkness always has more to tell.